Hello, and this is my new half guide of the new gyfin spot. So anyways, this is well, at the time of making the video, newly released very high gear requirement spot, and you want similar gear to what you would have for Ash Forest. You can probably get away with slightly less gear here due to the fact that this spot is more mechanic based rather than gear check based. And the way this works is there are around 6 loops in the area, which is located below the normal Gaifa temple. And each loop will have a single pillar surrounded by a large Gaifa Crushinator with a red anger tag, a large guard with a blue resolve tag, and a large Fleming with a purple denial tag. And when you first arrive, you just pick one and kill it. And you will notice, well, I have a color buff, but ignore that. When I kill the Fleming, I will get a red buff for 60 seconds. And I'm supposed to kill the large mob with the tag above its head corresponding to the color of the buff I get. And this is not random. When I kill the Fleming, I always get the red buff. When I kill the Crushinator, I will always get the blue buff. And when I kill the guard with the blue tag, I will always get the purple buff. But what is random is when you kill it, it generates a new random permutation of mobs. These do not always spawn in the same location. Now another interesting feature of this spot is for anyone who has grinded places like Olun or some of the lower end spots for the older players like Sassen with Sassen Tens, you may have realized that when you have a certain spawn and you have other mobs that are tied to that spawn, like with the large Olun Golem, if you kill the large golem before you kill the others, then the other things will disappear and you won't get loot. So if I kill this large Fleming, the medium ones will immediately die, though they will drop loot. It also takes all of the small decimators with it, which do not drop loot. And to answer the natural question of whether or not you should just focus the big ones or wait for the decimators to group up so you can kill everything, you should focus the big ones, and here's why. Number one, the vast majority of your money at the spot comes from rare drops as opposed to trash, and most of the rare drops come from the large and medium ones. And on top of that, if you wait for the decimators to surround the chonker first, then they will end up soaking a lot of your damage. So that's something that is absolutely best avoided. Now, I would also like to demonstrate the special attacks of these because these are very important to keep in mind. So first of all, the special attacks will usually activate if you do not kill them. Actually, I will show you the butcher first, because I just got it. So there are 2 special events. This first one you see is the butcher. It's a elite type thing that spawns that takes a little while to kill and is moderately scary. And the reason the special attacks are so important is because when you kill the butcher, you get a special color buff. It's yellow, and it lets you do... So the normal color buff lets you do twice the amount of damage to the corresponding mob you're hitting. The yellow buff lets you do, I think it's 10 or 15 or something like that, or 20 times damage. Either way, it's a crazy amount of damage. And all 3 of them will swarm you at once when the butcher dies, and on top of that, all of them can do their special attacks immediately, rather than the normal, they do them if you don't kill them for like half a minute. So you have to be very aware of the special attacks and how to deal with them. Now after you do that, the normal things will spawn again, and the first one you kill will replace your yellow buff with the normal color one, unless you are in PvE iframe when you deal the last hit. And you normally want to avoid being in PvE iframe because you want to avoid, well, not getting the next buff. However, this is a nice little trick to get more out of the whatever it's called, the butcher yellow buff. However, just make sure that you don't get too greedy, because if you let the buff lapse completely, then you're going to be stuck spending a long time killing something. And relating to the whole PvE iframes messing with the buffs, you don't want that to happen with the normal ones, because it still gives you the text, as you saw, acting like I got the purple one, but I didn't. So if I go up to the Fleming and aggro it and start killing it, it's going to take a while, so I have to catch it soon and do the guard again. So, now for the special attacks. Actually, I'm going to show the Crushinator one first, because it's the least cool, followed by the guard, followed by the Fleming, which is by far the most cool. So we're gonna have to kill the Fleming. These things happen. So with the guard... No, not the guard, the Crushinator, oops. It usually starts being able to do the special attack around 30 seconds left on the buff. And it's going to do it after this one. Nope. Gonna be a stubborn little potato, isn't it? There we go. It's a Pac-Man sized AoE that it will do twice, the second one being considerably larger than the first one. And yep, as you thought, kinda hurts. The first one also inflicts bound, which makes the second one quite a bit more threatening. So to avoid it, you either have to be outside of the range, or you have to be in the Pac-Man mouth area. And as you might have seen, there is a delay on the hit. So it can be quite deceptive in some ways. So just be very mindful of the dangers of it. Now for the guard is even sneakier. You won't think it's sneaky the first time you see it, but trust me, it's sneaky. There we go. So the reason that's sneaky is sometimes it can hit 3 times. And you really do not want it to hit you 3 times. I think that one's cooler just because I like the look of the channeling. Now you might have seen the despair text, that's another event, we'll get to that later. First, the coolest thing there is the Fleming special attack. The coolest and by far the scariest, to be honest. But here's the thing about Fleming. For anyone who grinded normal gyfin when it came out, you probably remember the Fleming being kind of like, well, yeah, I'm not that scary. Unless you forget about me, then I will totally wipe your entire party. So here's one scary thing the Fleming does. Here's another scary thing the Fleming does. This one spams knockback, so that makes it quite a bit scarier. And that weird delay damage that seems to characterize the special attacks of these. Yeah, let's not do that again. And no, these are not even the special attack. The special attack... Nope, still not. Maybe I have to stab it to make it angry. See if that works. Nope. So when it does the special attack, you will see a large AoE, but instead of the circle being in front of it, it'll be around 1/3 in front of it and 2/3 behind it. That's the first thing you have to understand about it. Not this one. This is all in front of it. The scary one is 1/3 in front, 2/3 behind. I guess it really doesn't want to behave, huh? The best things take time, though, so we just have to be patient. Here we go. Now, the crazy thing is, and you may have already figured this out based on the fact that I just stood there and I also evaded the hit, that is not the scariest part. Like, looking at it, you totally think that's going to be by far the scariest part. But here's why it's so tricky. The scariest part is indeed the AoE just in front of it and behind it. It doesn't look like there's that much really to be scared of, but it is, at least to the best of my knowledge, either completely unavoidable or has extremely high accuracy, and it either will apply flat damage or the effective AP is high enough that even in my fully defensive build with all of the BR I have there, it's like, meh, doesn't care, it'll still hit about the same. So actually, let me put on my full DP set for it. It's just kind of crazy to see, even more so with full DP. So the really scary thing, it hurts, but it doesn't like hurt. But this, that really definitely hurts. So yeah, it is best to avoid. I think that that attack is just effectively very, 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 very high AP. And it hits more often than that. My dodge is APD iframe, which is what let me avoid the hits. It ticks like 3 times every 2 seconds or something for damage. So yeah, you really do not want to get hit by it. And remember that the Fleming can use its special attack immediately when it spawns from the Butcher event. So you probably want to like find the Fleming and kill it. Not that the other special attacks are not scary, but the Fleming is particularly scary. If it's just the Fleming you're worrying about, then you get in front of it during the first part and then behind it during the second part and whatever. But if it's like, oh, I see you're not paying attention to me, so guess how that's gonna go, then it's a bit of an issue. Now, oops, I guess I argued the wrong thing. These things happen. But anyway, this despair thing that has been chasing me around, the way this event works, now this one's interesting. This one, at least as far as I can tell, is not random the way that things like Ofuaru and the Butcher event are. But this one seems to be based more on time and or kills. Because I get it with kind of some periodicity. It's not like you don't get multiple in a row like sometimes you do with Butcher or Afuaru or whatever. And when you kill it, it's like a standard swarm event. This persists for 5 minutes, and it's just a bunch of these one-shottable potatoes. And I tend to get around 300 additional trash per instance of the event, so it's quite nice for a event. Now, a couple more things to discuss just about doing things here more efficiently. The mobs are not attackable until you have around 53.9 to low 54 seconds left on the buff, so if you are going to be doing your burst immediately, which you probably should be doing, just keep in mind that a good way to know when it will be attackable if you don't feel like looking for red crosshairs is just looking at the buff timer. So watch this. Not attackable then, is attackable now. And another thing, this one kind of being specific to Witch and Wizard, the question of whether or not to aggro orb, it may seem like, oh, of course you want to aggro orb, it lets you get straight back attacks against these things. But it does present some issues. First of all, ones like the Fleming, they take forever to reposition. It just lets you back attack it to like half its health, and then the rest of its health. So there's little need to spend the extra time unnecessarily on your aggro orbing. However, for ones like the Crusher that are a little bit more stubborn for turning around, it may be something you would want to consider, though the issue with aggro orbing it is, actually, I will show you on the guard next time. So let's say if I put my orb here and I attack it, sometimes it's really not that interested in the orb and it will turn around and hit me anyways. But a lot of the mini things will still be attacking the orb. So if it turns around and then they have to reposition this way to hit it, these things that are attacking the orb will not get out of my way. So a lot of times it's nicer to just not use the aggro orb but have more control over where the mob end up going. So for instance, here, rather than everything piling on an aggro orb at a specific location, I can position such that I am able to attack exactly where the back of the front is without worrying about things being like, oh, let me disrupt you because I want to attack your orb and not you. So yeah, they're just things like that. I guess I will, oh yeah, and another thing to mention is that while all of the loops on the surface may seem like they're the exact same, some of them have mob with it's back against the wall, which is kind of annoying. There are two, I think, that have that. Some are more spread out by a bit, and some are closer together by a bit. And the closer together ones can actually make it easier for you to enjoy all of the mini decimators. The decimators walk up to you more quickly, or that could also be a bad thing if it inhibits your ability to get nice attacks on the large ones. So, even though the loops are incredibly similar, there are still some subtle differences. And some have flatter ground than others, which can be nice. So I guess I will probably just grind a little bit and remember if there's anything I forgot to say. And if there is, I will remember to say it, and if there's not, then I will not say it. Hello. What was I gonna say? Something about something. And you see the red text about the overwhelming whatever and dissipating? That is the text you get when the swarm event finishes, when the despair one does. I just call it the swarm event because it sounds cooler and less edgy than the despair event. What I was thinking about, something about something. Oh yeah. To talk a little bit about the offensive and defensive stats of these. Oops, see I hit too early. You don't want to do that. See, a smart person learns from their mistakes, whereas a wise person learns from other people's mistakes. So take the opportunity and learn from my mistake. But the question of whether or not evasion or DR would perform better here, the chonkers tend to have very high hit rate, whereas the mini ones tend to have pretty standard hit rate. I personally would say that it's around even because these also have very high effective AP. I still very much love my evasion build. It keeps the damage from the other things down quite a bit, even if I risk getting hit quite hard by the large ones and their special attacks. But I would say that this one doesn't majorly favor evasion or DR over the other, which is nice. And the things like like I mentioned earlier, the Fleming special attack doesn't really seem to care much about either of them. Again, I can evade the second part of it. I can evade the Crusher special attack. I can also evade the special attack of the guard, but the Fleming is kind of it's a bit different. Yep. And also because these do massive amounts of damage in one or two swings, that could also be an argument that some people would make for DR, because even if you take more damage overall, consistency is something that can be incredibly valuable at these spots where there's genuine one-shot risk. So yep, just keeping those things in mind. And I haven't been able to, well, because I've been lazy and because I love grinding this spot so much, I haven't even felt like testing much of anything. I haven't been able to get a nice formula for your hit rate as a function of your accuracy here. However, these their evasion is likely somewhere between Seacrya and Ash Forest. It's definitely not crazy high or anything. So, yep, just know that it's nothing ridiculously high. I did like 10 minutes of the normal testing I would do to get a formula, and then it's like, this is the most amazing spot ever, and I only want to grind it. Yeah, and okay, it's really good to grind after doing this because there's so many little things I forgot to mention. And I do not know how to edit videos, so that would probably mean having to either concatenate one onto this one or make another one. But anyways, if you have damage coming from summoned entities like Wizard Pet or Stroker Clone or whatever, or Wizard Lava, oh, I got another Butcher, then that damage is not affected by the color buffs. So, for example, if you try to use your lava field, or if you're a witch, your poison field, then you will see that, yep, it's kind of meh. By the way, do you know that Wizard actually has a lava gland to produce his lava? But anyways, the Wizard anatomy can be a different day. Here we go. Oh, look, see, the Fleming is doing its special attack already. Not today. See, I'm going to attempt to see, I was in the iframe and it let me keep my bow. No, I missed it, but I did get another butcher. Okay, let's try that again. There are a couple times I actually got a butcher spawn from another butcher. That was quite cool. Oh, the worst is when you accidentally iframe. And I got a despair. When you accidentally iframe the butcher buff the first time, and you end up having to kill all three without any buff. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. And also make sure not to let your buff lapse, because then you're going to spend quite a while killing something. I'm gonna cut it. No, I'm not gonna. Yeah, nope. I thought about doing it again, but I'm not gonna be greedy. I'm gonna be safe. Usually 10 seconds. If I know that I have 10 seconds to wait for the spawn, and then do a couple really strong abilities and kill it, then I'm fine. But it's a bit of an issue if I only have 7 seconds, because the vast majority of those 7 seconds are waiting for the thingy to be attackable and to spawn. If there's anything else. Hopefully there's nothing I forgot. Okay, let's look. Nope, probably not, but maybe yes. I hope that was somewhat informative.